Hello everybody. Welcome to Crafty Soup. If you're new here, I am taking a peek at all the settings and making sure that we've got everything working correctly. I had to fix some tech things right before going live. It always seems to be the case. You'll probably hear me say that every time. I'm going to give a minute or two to see if anybody will pop in. Once again, I forgot to schedule this live so that people would know that it is happening. I just got it scheduled first thing this morning, so if nobody shows up, that's likely because nobody even knew I was here. So I will go ahead and do the introduction. I am Misty, and this is my channel, Crafty Soup. I do live streams twice a month currently. This live stream in particular is my Mystery Box Make series, and that is where I open up some mystery supplies, mystery craft supplies, pull them out, check them out, and then make a project without knowing what I'm gonna get. So that is the premise of this particular live stream. I have a picker wheel that is ready to go to help me pick those supplies. I have a box of Crafty Stash. I have a pack of pattern papers. I know it's all simple stories. Other than that, I don't know what the papers are. And then I have a pack of 12 by 12 stencils as well. I will often scrapbook a layout with these supplies. Sometimes I will make a card. It just depends on what comes up. I've had a few Christmassy items. It feels like the last few times. Definitely the last time, possibly the time before that. I'm hoping this time not to do a Christmas layout or a Christmas project. We'll see what the wheel and the box give us. So I think there's one more piece of business. If you are brand new here and you found me by accident, I'm a crafting channel, scrapbooking largely, a little bit of card making. My channel is very quiet now because I have taken over another crafty business and it needed some work to get it kind of back up to a functional level, and I'm almost complete with that project. So hopefully, and I've said this the last few times as well, hopefully I will be back to more regular programming here. But for now, I'm doing the 2 live streams a month. And if you are not subscribed to my channel, you won't be able to leave me any comments, and that is because I'm here solo and I have a hard time keeping out the unwanted element from the comment stream and also crafting at the same time. So you need to be subscribed for at least 20 minutes if you want to leave some chat over in the box. Otherwise, you can just watch along, and if you do decide to subscribe and wait that 20 minutes to leave some live comments, you can always unsubscribe afterwards, and it's no big deal. So that is the business for the day. So let me go ahead and show you my picker wheel. Nope. That one. There we go. That is my picker wheel. So I am going to spin this wheel. Notice I have the big box on there 6 times and pattern papers on there twice and the stencils on there twice, just to help give me a balance of supplies. So let's go ahead and give this a spin. And I'm looking both in front of me at my screen and at the actual spinner. First item is big box. I generally prefer when I have 2 big box items and 1 other thing, but again, the wheel tells me what we're going to be working with. Again with making sure I'm on the right screen. Okay, let's do this one more time. Is it gonna make it? Okay, didn't quite make it to the next item, so we've got the big box again. And for our third item, let's see what we get. I know the big box is getting a little low. Oh, I like working with stencils. Yay! I feel like my projects come out much better when I have a nice stencil to work with. So I am happy about those selections. Let me come back to my face. Oh, there's my desk. That's okay, we'll just stick straight with the desk. So here is what my big box looks like. You can see, you can hear that there's still some things in there. And let's hope that our first item and our second item is not Christmas. Ooh, something bigger. It might be hard to get it out without showing anything. Ooh, it is a giant stamp. Look at that. It says drop the mic, and it has layers of shadow and all exit stage right. Okay, my daughter is a theater geek, and I have some of her theater photos that I haven't scrapbooked yet. So that is an instant idea. All right, let's pull out item number 2 and see how much astray this project goes. Ooh, all I'm feeling is a cardboard box. Oh wait, there's something. This feels like maybe a paper pack of some kind. Let's pull this one out and see. Oh, it's not a paper pack. It is another stamp. I thought it was going to be like a little 8x8 paper pad. I can totally work with these items together. This can give me my own pattern paper, and that is not hard at all. Let's see. Let's see what stencil we get. Once upon a time, I put sheets of leftover cardstock in between each stencil so that they wouldn't get tangled up and I wouldn't be able to see what they were. And so it makes it easier to reach in here, and I can pull out one sheet of paper and a stencil and see what we've got. Oh, some florals. I like that too. It reminds me of fabric and the story I have to tell. This is just all coming together. Sometimes I like a challenge, and this one's not feeling too much like a challenge, but I'm not going to complain because when you're live, everything is extra challenging. The story I have to tell was a period piece, and there were some beautiful dresses in this show. So this print kind of reminds me of old-fashioned upholstery on the furniture, or possibly old-fashioned dresses. So I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I have the idea right away, ready to go. Let me find my photos. Okay, if you're new here, I keep a story binder, nothing complicated about it, just a 3-ring binder full of pages, sheet protectors that I tuck in photos and notes about what I want the story to be, the dates, the people, any supplies I want to use in particular, layout, sketches, things like that. These days, it's usually just the minimum date and title because all of that other stuff I do more off the cuff. So let me find, oh, I've got an older theater show that I did not remember. So why don't we do this one instead? Yeah, let's do this one instead. Okay. Do I want to get fancy and put some paste through my stencil? That would take some time to dry, but the story is from a show called Queens, and this is based on all of the wives of Henry VIII, and my daughter played one of the Annes. Sorry, my history is not that great. One of the Annes who gets beheaded by Henry VIII, and here is her beheading scene. So she definitely had to exit stage right. So that I think I want to do some paste, and this is a little bit scary because I don't know how long it will take to dry. Part of me thinks I want to use this paper because it is a similar color, but I'm thinking this is too pink versus the red, so I'm not going to do that after all. This paper will just go back in my stash for another day, And I will choose something else for this layout. I'm thinking about doing a gold paste because it matches the trim on her dress. I'm not so sure I want to go full on red cardstock now that I'm thinking about it, because that might be a little overwhelming. So maybe I'll just do black. Okay, if we've got a sheet of black, this will be the foundation of the layout. We can create some pattern paper to do a matting layer for our focal photo. Maybe I want to make this one the focal photo because, two reasons. This is the big scene of the story, so it's got a lot of the action. She is very small in here, so creating a mat will draw more attention to this photo. I might be able to add some arrows or something along those lines to help focus in here. And then we can create a piece of paper to be the mat for that. So let me get started with this stenciling because, like I said, this will take some time to dry. I am going to pull out this is how I keep all of my old pieces of tape, and I'm going to pull out a couple of pieces to tape this down. Let me put some protection on my mat just to make cleanup that much easier. I've got to find it. I moved, oh wait. There we go. I moved some things around recently, and I gotta remember where I put everything. All right, this mat is the Tim Holtz craft mat. It has the reinforced corners and a silicone backing, so this is kind of the higher end version of the craft mat. But I like this one because it doesn't slip and slide on me. I like that it's white, although yes, the white will get stained. And once I've got a mess on here, I can just roll it up, set it aside, and then clean it up later. When the mess itself dries, it will just peel off of the mat. The only challenge is that the mat is so non-stick that a lot of tape does not like to stick to the mat. So I am going to do my best to tape this down with these scraps of my scraps of tape, so I don't have to worry about these tape getting messy because I can just toss it when I'm done with it, and it's had a good long life of use, and I don't have to worry about wasting too much tape because I've reused it multiple times. Okay, there we go. I am going to grab my media and a craft scraper. Okay, I will probably use my silicone scraper to run it through, and then I'll use this smaller craft knife to scoop it out of my tin. I have multiple options in gold, so let me pull these options out. This one is a Lawn Fawn, and that is one option. I have a Lunar Paste, which is another option that Lunar Paste and Solar Paste are both Ranger products designed by Simon Hurley. The Solar Paste is intended to show up best on dark papers. So let's do this. I'm gonna use my finger. So just looking at it, it doesn't look like much, but if we take a peek of a test swatch on the back, you can see how it starts to show the shine, and that's going to be a lot more of a subtle shine than using the other two pastes, and I like that idea. So let's go with this product. I always keep a rag handy and a water bottle handy so that I can clean up messes very easily. And I don't worry too much about messy projects. And I love when I can get my pastes used up. So I am going to try and put a good dollop of paste all the way across this layout. But because this is a very big stencil, it might take me a while. Oh, I have Lynn here. Hi, Lynn. I just popped in to look at the messages for the first time. Glad you're here. I'm glad you realized I was live. As I said earlier, that I forgot to schedule again this time to give people enough time to make sure it would work for their schedule. I will, right after this live stream, I will schedule next month's stream so that this doesn't happen again. All right, once I've got my paste on there, it is just a matter of dragging it along. There are some bigger, more open areas as well as some finer areas, and you can see how thick the paste is there versus over here. I'm going to aim for this much thickness overall, so it's just a matter of patience, especially with the bigger open areas. The tool itself tends to kind of scrape the paste out of there, so tipping at a flatter angle helps. And taking it slow helps. So there we go. We're getting some good coverage in there. And I try to stick with one direction. Once I have good coverage, I'm going to try not to go back over it again. I can try and smooth out these lines because those lines will show up in any of the open spaces. And just come in and squeeze this paste into any open areas. We need to get coverage. Okay, I'm probably going to need more paste, but we're getting some good coverage so far. Okay, let me go ahead and put out a little more paste. This was a sample bottle of paste that I got from an event, so it's kind of a good size for doing this kind of project. And if you don't use your pastes, they do tend to dry out, although I find that the Simon Hurley products, the Ranger Simon Hurley products, dry out way slower than a lot of other things. I had said at one point that they never dry out, and then I found one that had, so I wouldn't say never anymore, but I would say you've got a long lifespan out of these ones. So it's a good investment. I really like the Simon Hurley Ranger products. Okay, let's keep scraping, and I am gonna need more. As this starts to dry, I want to be sure not to go over it too much, because then it can start leaving streaks just from the fact that the paste is starting to dry. So I want to work a little quicker on getting the rest of this on here. Hopefully I can get enough out of this bottle to finish up this project. I don't think I have another one of these. What I might do is take this paste and make sure I've got it in the corners first, and then I can try and cover up any areas that are bare, so that I can make sure I have enough paste for the whole project. But it looks like I can scrape up some of that other paste over there. Okay. Oh, one more spot. Little spot there. Okay, let's smooth out. Okay, let's start smoothing out all of the big open areas. Try and make them try and make them more opaque with my paste, like way down here. That one missed the very edge of the stencil. This one missed some edge. Okay. Oops, I just dinged that one with the corner. Okay, I know this paste does dry fairly quickly. You know what? I'm thinking I'm just gonna call that jar done. I have used up a tub of paste. Yay! I did not bring any way to clean up, so I'm gonna pause us here and I will make sure I can put this stuff in some water so that it won't get crusty and dry on me, and I can clean it up later, but I need to go find a tub big enough to soak it. So let me be right back. Okay, what I realized I should show you is how to peel this up. I usually just start in one corner and kind of come at a diagonal angle to get this all peeled up and off without bumping or smudging. I do have a little excess. I did not think about masking off my entire edges, but that's okay. We can either trim it and mat it on top of another piece of cardstock, or just say it's okay. Sometimes mixed media is messy. Okay, now I will be right back. All right, I've got enough of the mess cleaned up here. Let's throw that away. I'm just gonna pick up this whole thing and set it behind me, because I've got a table over there where I can leave this to dry. And you can start seeing the shine. If I tip it in the light, you can start to see that shine. It will become less white looking and turn more shiny looking as it dries. You know, I think I do want to trim. I think I am going to want to trim off those edges, so I'm going to find another sheet of cardstock that I can mat that on, and once I trim those edges. Okay, I'm thinking, like, would this be a good time to bring in some of that color from the photo? Maybe a little bit of red so that we have a border of red. Or I could maybe do the border of a blue and then let the red be the pop of color that shines through. Or just go with some white. Tell you, I'm having a hard time deciding. I know I'm gonna stamp on a very light tone neutral color. It could be white, or it could be maybe a gray. Let's try a gray. was looking for a color that I was using earlier today for a different project that is a very pale beigey gray. It's kind of a creamy gray color. That would be good for this, but I was using it today. It's here somewhere. Oh well, we'll just go with what we've got. So I'm thinking this gray will work. I have moved almost entirely to using Spellbinder's Color Wheel cardstock for my scrapbooking cardstocks. It comes in 12 by 12 and 8.5 by 11 for card makers. So I like that. So I can, because I do both, I like to be able to use the same cardstock and know how it behaves across different projects. What was I starting to say? Spellbinders cardstock. So yeah, I am starting to stock up on their different colors, and I don't need all the colors because I know I won't use all the colors in cardstock, but there are some favorite colors for sure. This one is called Alabaster, and it's definitely a very creamy color. The gray that I picked is called Anchor. The one that I'm looking for is called Fog. And I really am feeling stumped about where I put that. Okay, do I want to... I think I want to keep it less white. So I really think I'm going to focus on the gray. So let me pull out another sheet of this because I am going to need to create that mat, and we'll do that with the stamp. And I want it to be subtle, so I could stamp in a white pigment ink. And I have these two. They're both kind of drying out on me because I don't use them often enough. And I should have reinkers for them, but I'm not quite sure if I do. I'm thinking about it. Okay, so this one will be my background. Let's cut a mat. Let's make a nice 1/2-inch border all the way around. So that is going to be 5 inches wide in total by 7 inches tall in total. And that will give us a nice big mat. Do I want to go even bigger? I can always cut it down smaller. Let's go ahead and go even bigger. Instead of 5, let's go ahead and go 5.5. And we'll make it just a little bit wider of a mat, and that will help us see more of the stamping. And then I was gonna go 7 the other way. Let's go 7.5. And then we can use some of these for possibly doing some of our sentiments. I'm gonna set these pieces off to the side. Let me go ahead and set my photos off to the side, and we're gonna focus on this stamp. Now sometimes this mystery box in particular came entirely from Simon Says Stamp. So did the stencils. You know what, now I'm not sure. I think I might have gotten the stencils and the pattern paper somewhere else. But I usually get a mystery box from Simon Says Stamp, although based on the changes they made this past year, I'm not so sure I'm going to do it again. Oh, this stamp comes in segments. That will be nicer to use for doing on edges. So let's go ahead and peel this apart. I know that there are stamps out there that come apart, but I honestly haven't used very much of them. Oh, this has a gash in it. I don't know what's up with that. Feel a little scattered. I started to say a couple of things. So my box comes from Simon Says Stamp. Everything in here is extras that they were clearing out of their warehouse. It could be discontinued items. It could be items that are still in stock. Actually, I found a few things from my mystery box that are still in stock. So if you like the look of some of these things, you can go ahead and look at Simon Says and see if they exist. Now that I've said that, Simon Says doesn't carry 12 by 12 products, so the stencils did not come from Simon Says. They most likely came from a Cherry on Top. And all of those stencils are from the Crafters Workshop, and I will link you up below to some of those supplies if you want to check them out. Probably just the Crafters Workshop supplies in general, and then you can see if they have stencils that you like. All right, I think because I know my white ink is getting pretty dry, I'm going to go ahead and use my stamp positioning tool. I like this one for scrapbooking because it's open on 3 sides. The lid can come off. Technically, you're not supposed to use red rubber stamps with this one, but I've had no problems with it. And so this is my stamp platform of choice for scrapbooking. There are definitely other platforms out there on the market, mainly the Misty 12 by 12 product, but I like this one because of the open sides, so I can move things around to where I want them to be. I'm trying to remember which ink was the juiciest. That one is pretty dang dry. Let me check on this one. Okay, that one's got some ink in it. We'll use this one, and I need to re-ink the other one, although there's no point in re-inking it until I actually need to use it. Maybe I just need to pull out the re-inker and set it next to the ink pad, so when I am ready, the ink will be right there and I can find it easily. Okay. Now doing just one pass is going to give a much lighter tone, and that's probably all I want, because I don't want it to compete with the photo. I just want it to kind of support the photo. So let's take a look and see. That's looking pretty good, and it will definitely dry back. Oh, I missed some right there, which is why a stamp positioner is so handy. There we go, that looks better. I don't mind that it's a little blotchy, because that's going to keep it from being less starkly white, and I want it to blend into the background more. Okay, so I can move my stamp so that it will fit in this corner, and I'm going to gently set it down without moving it so I don't smear. In the meantime, I'm smearing off the edges, but that's okay, because here, this will be covered up by our main cardstock. There we go, that filled in, if you can see it okay, that filled in that gap. Then I will very gently lay it down over here so that it doesn't smear. Pick that up. You can see we've got a little bit of tone going on already, and that's kind of how I wanted it to look, with that very bare minimum tone to it, but we're just gonna make it work. Okay, let's do this one. Oh, missed right there. I think that looks okay. There's a little bit of a gap looking in there, but I think once we get our photo on, it won't be too bad. Okay, and then I can always rotate it to head in this direction. I think, I'm trying to decide. I can always fill in over there with the other stamp. I do want to get this butted up over here much closer, and I don't want to overlap over here too much. So let me start up here. Okay, I'm holding it down and just kind of dropping it in place so that it doesn't shift on me. Oh, it's overlapping a little bit, but that's not too bad. Not too bad. what just popped into my head is, I think it's called the velveteen technique, where you stamp with white ink and then you rub chalk over that ink. And because pigment ink takes longer to dry, the moisture kind of absorbs the chalk and it creates this velvety look on there. And that would be fantastic for this layout. I am thinking, where is my chalk palette? I have no idea at this point. I don't use it all that much. Now I think maybe using one of these other sizes to kind of fill in over here. This might help us kind of fill in the gap a little bit better without too much overlapping. It'll overlap a little bit down here in the corner, but that's okay. Where do I need the ink? I need the ink along this path. Okay. All right, that is looking really good. We can pull in the photo and see if it's going to cover up all of that. And I think that will work. Oh, that is looking good. I'm liking how it's looking as it dries. And once we cover up that gap, which is very distracting, it is creating a nice pattern. I like it. I like it. I like it. Okay. Let me set this stuff. Well, I'm probably going to want this for the sentiments. So I will put these face to face so that I can clean them up later. And I can just set them on the card and set them aside. Okay, this will need a little bit of time to dry. My brain is still trying to think of where my chalk palette is. But you know what? I liked it. I don't need to do too much. I liked it how it was looking against the photo, so I should just let it be. I'm going to go ahead and clean this up and wipe up my fingers a little bit. And then I can think about how I want to do a title and how I want to use this other stamp set. And we're going to need some embellishments, so I might pull out some more items. I have a very specifically theater-based stamp set, so I might want to pull some of that out. A stamp and a die set, actually. Okay, let me open this up and really think about what I want to use. Okay, I definitely want to use Exit Stage Right, maybe cue the applause, and nailed it. Let's use all of those. And nailed it. Okay. I'm just gonna rest those on there for now. We kind of need to thinking about general design to make sure we can fit everything. So this is gonna go on here. This I'm gonna tuck down here, most likely. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and trim this because we don't need the extra off the top. It's just distracting anyway. I'm also going to want to mat this on a very thin border of gray. I know right now it looks like we've got gray on gray on gray, but remember we've got that black piece going. I'm thinking I might want to cut this down to 4 by 4, in which case I need to crop fairly close to their heads and see how that looks. All right, that looks good. And then my mat for that one we'll make it a very thin mat. That's definitely big enough. Let's do 4. Should I do an 1/8? Let's do 4 1/4, and I can always cut it down. So 4 1/4. I really like doing the 1/8 inch mat, which turns into, when you divide it on both sides, 1/16 of an inch. Let's leave it like that for now, because I want to see what it's going to look like on top of the busy black background, because we might want more of that restful border to help it stand up against the background. Okay, what else do we need? We need to think about colors for our stamps, and also kind of the position. I was thinking I could use these stamps to kind of focus in on this part of the picture. I had mentioned doing some arrows, but we can use this for the stamp instead. So that is the idea for that. I've got a window over here that is distracting me because it's popping up a whole bunch of things. So I want to make that go away. It just keeps flashing ads off. It's my picker window that has ads off this side of the screen. Let me grab a drink of water as I think about colors. Maybe I do want to do these in red, because the red strip of the sentiment will help draw the eye, and then the eye can keep moving through that space. So I think that's what I'm going to do. And because these are just little stamps, I can always restamp them in a different color. I don't want to cut up a whole sheet of 12 by 12 just for these stamps, but I do like that alabaster color. Let me see. I know I just threw away some of those scraps that were probably just about the right size for a sentiment stamp, but they were too small for doing just about anything else in scrapbooking. But I think those are gone. I'm not gonna traipse through the trash. I think this is the same alabaster though that I used for a card project. Let's use that. I keep a bin of scraps right at my feet. Oh, excuse me. I keep a bin of scraps right at my feet for this very purpose. And because these are all just straight sentiments, I can stamp them all next to each other and cut them out with a little trimmer. Oh, cat hair, the dangers of living in a house with cats. I've been trying to create a whole bunch of products recently, and all the cat hair is sticking to everything I'm making, and I'm giving these things away to people. Also trying to start designing products to sell, but nobody wants things that are full of cat hair. So I gotta figure out that problem for sure. All right, brand new stamps are super sticky, so it is taking my paper with it. Since they are brand new, I do want to season them, as it's called, which basically means removing any of the manufacturing oils and residues that will cause ink to bead up. And often I'll do this with a rag, and I just rub them until the photopolymer looks cloudy, and that means that I have removed all of that shiny manufacturing residue, and the stamps will be more likely to have a nice even coat of ink when we get to the stamping part. Okay, I am going to use red. Let me grab my poppy red, and we'll see. This is, I feel like this red has more shadows in it, which tends to be a bluer color, and this poppy red has more yellows to it, so it ever so slightly leans towards orange. I do have a cranberry, but that is a much darker color. Cranberry is a much darker color, but I think let's try it because I have enough paper that I can restamp it if I like a different color better. Take a look at our time. We're almost about 15 minutes away from the top of the hour, so I think we're doing okay time-wise. This probably won't be the fastest of layouts today, but okay, I think that's gonna work. Sometimes if your ink pads are too juicy, then the ink will bead up, but this one's looking pretty good. All right, it starts off much darker, but it will definitely dry lighter in tone. I do have some stray little fibers that are causing problems, but when I trim these down with a straight trimmer, it should be okay. Cut off those little fibery remnants. That is some of the tricky things. I don't think it's cat hair. I don't think it's cat hair this time. Okay, I think that was enough coverage for what I want, and like I said, it looks pretty dang dark right now, but it will dry back as dye inks tend to do. What other stamping am I gonna need? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm just gonna tuck these on top of my packaging, and I will clean them up later. And they are there if I want to use them again. And off they go. All right, just a little wipe down of the fingers in case I got any of that red ink on me. I'm gonna pull in this little paper trimmer because it is very nice for doing these nice straight edges, and I can line it right up. I can see, well, you can't see, but I can see exactly where the edge of this little guide is, and I can line up the edge of the stamp with the guide and go ahead and slice it. And that's going to give me a nice straight edge, and it is pretty dang close right on the image, so I can get nice straight lines cut with that and make these little sentiment blocks very tidy. I hate cutting these sentiment blocks on a slide trimmer because no matter what I do, I always end up cutting them crooked, so this guillotine style trimmer has definitely been a better choice for this kind of thing. I got this at an event. Somebody brought it and put it on the free swap table, and I thought, well, hey, let me try it. I don't have one. I've always been afraid of guillotine trimmers because I'm pretty accident prone, and I was worried about hurting myself with one. So I thought, okay, I'll go ahead and try it and see how it works out for me, and I really like it. Now I'm trying to decide if I want to go in on a bigger one, but this is a great size for trimming photos and doing these little sentiment strips. And that one wasn't quite close enough, so it's also good at getting a very fine hair clipped off if you're not quite close enough. I'm trying to decide how to attack the rest of this. Okay, they are not quite the same length, so I've got to get right in there. Now, this is getting pretty short, but one trick I learned from Jennifer McGuire is that if you use a Post-it note and sticky it on your paper, then that gives you a nice handle to slide things and get them lined up without trying to pinch your little fingers into a tight space. So that looks good. And I do need to trim off this little bitty edge over here. Okay, that'll do for that one. Now, try and get an even smaller piece in there. And then very final smallest option here. That one didn't get quite close enough. Because it's so teeny tiny, I can't quite see where I'm at. Let's see how that is. That might be a little bit crooked, but it's not too bad. I know I can always kind of tap this into the ink pad to finish cleaning up these little edges, which I might do. Let's go ahead and grab that ink pad again. I'll just do tap, tap. There we go. That cleans up the edges. That's the nice thing about making your own embellishments, is that you can make them work for you. Got to pick my own colors, and I'm able to kind of correct little mistakes. So that looks better. It's a very small detail, but I know that would bug me later. Okay, so we are going to need some more embellishments. I'm going to let those dry because that I don't want to get that red everywhere. Dye-based inks tend to dry pretty fast, but when I double stamped it, it's a fairly juicy ink pad. This is a super smooth cardstock, which takes a little longer for the ink to soak into the fibers. So I want to make sure that's nice and dry. I did see some of the ink kind of rubbing off on my little guide as I was putting them under, so I can pop this guide out and wipe it down if it gets dirty. Oh, I gotta put it back in the correct order or it doesn't fit properly. There we go. This is a Creative Memories one. It has a little bit of a catch to the end of it, which could be, I don't know if that is just from because it was used, or if it had a little bit of a manufacturing defect to it, but that could be why somebody gave it away. I'm not sure. I've been working with it and I like it though, even though it has a little bit of an imperfection. I think it's pretty good. All right, to add one more layer of attention to this photo, I'm gonna pop it up on some foam. I do still need to think about title. I'm not sure what I want to do for the title. The show is called Queens, so I could just put that as the title. I don't know, that feels a little lazy, I guess. But I don't have all the time in the world. All right, I'm gonna save this in case I'm probably gonna want to pop those up. May not use the same foam. I don't want to glue this one down just yet because I may want to change the size of this mat. Let's see how our paper is drying. Here is what it's looking like. It is not there yet. As you can see, some of the excess squeezed off the edge and started drying. And when I picked up the paper, it peeled off of that mat, which is what that mat is for. So you can still see white areas, which means it is not dry at all, but it is getting there. So I need to let that dry some more. But here is kind of, let's just kind of set things here and take a look. This is what we're aiming for so far. All right, I think it is time for me to think about some more embellishments. I can do a couple of things. I could do a little more stamping with this same foliage stamp on here and punch out some shapes. I can go and grab my theater stamp. You know, I'm just going to go ahead and grab that stamp. So give me just a moment again. Kind of feel like I need a little bit of hold music in there when I need to step aside. But here are my theater products that I have, or some of my theater products. I have this set, and then I have a few embellishment pieces. This one is, all of these things are from Hero Arts, and this one is a stencil that creates this backdrop. I don't think I'm going to want to use that as an embellishment. So I'm going to go ahead and put that back in here and set it aside. Oh, and it's got a die with it as well. I forgot about the die. Thinking about, I could just do the curtain part. We could maybe do it out of vellum and kind of surround. Let's just cut it out of vellum and see what happens. It does have some impressions in here, so it creates that curtain texture. Do I have? I'm getting kind of to the end of a lot of the vellum that I have. So I don't know if I have any scraps that are big enough. I don't think I do. Let me look over here. Okay, I don't think I want to cut into a 12 by 12 sheet of vellum because that is getting very hard to find. Let me go search through my 8.5 by 11 to see if I have got some of that. So I'll be right back yet again. Aha! I found my Hero Arts vellum, which is a nice, thick, heavyweight vellum. I really like this brand, so let me set that aside and we can do some die cutting with this. I'm going to trim it down so it will fit in my die cutter. Sometimes when you're die cutting vellum, it can tend to crack. I have tried putting pieces of just printer paper underneath it to see if that helps. Let me don't think I have any just plain printer paper right now, so we'll just make do with what we've got. And I will make sure that my die cut is as thin of a sandwich as possible so that it will be less likely to crack. Now the other part of this is because vellum is see-through, sometimes the dies will pick up the texture of all of the previous cuts on the die itself and leave that texture behind. So I'm thinking I'm just gonna give it a go and see what happens. Trying, you know what? Always tape, just always tape. I was trying to take a shortcut, but that would be a bad idea. Okay, let's see. Okay, it does not, oh, I should have noticed that. It doesn't have a cutting edge all the way around. It's just the cutting edge on the, no, it's not even a cutting edge on the inside. It's just a textured edge. Okay, it's been a while since I've used this one, but here's what we're gonna do. Let's bring this back. We can create our own straight edges, and this is really hard to see because it's vellum. That gives a straight edge there. Just looking for what will make a straight edge there, and I'll flip it over to get the straight edge on the other side. I'll go ahead and trim the straight edge at the bottom, even though I'm going to end up fussy cutting this inside part. Hopefully I like this. After I do this work, hopefully I like this idea. Okay, so I am just gonna, oh, that part did start to cut away. That's good. So I'm just going to kind of fussy cut along these edges that have kind of already started to crack. I'm not sure if all of that is intended to cut or not. I think I need to play with this die a little bit more to see what it's supposed to do. I got these products when my kids were doing a lot of school plays, and now they're, well, one finished college and is starting a career, and the other one's getting ready to go off to college, so there won't be as many plays for me to document from here on out. Okay, you know what I think I'm gonna do? I think I'm going to cut this right here and right here, and I am going to make this smaller so that it really brings in the framing, and I can just overlap this to get that top piece on there, and I can probably trim the background down. You know what? It lines up pretty well with some folds in there, so I'm just gonna glue it on. Figure out where it lined up. It lined up right about there. Vellum is harder to glue, again, because it's not really paper. It's kind of a plasticky product. It takes a lot longer for that glue to set and dry it also can tend to slip and slide and move while it's getting to the point of setting and drying. You can see the glue through the vellum, but one of my tips is to kind of spread it out as thin as possible. And since I'm overlapping with other pieces anyway, it's going to change the color tone with that alone. Okay, I think I like that. I think that's gonna work. Okay, the other pieces I have in these sets are, I've got this little audience. It's kind of a little silhouette of the audience, so maybe I want to create something with that. Which color would I use? Should I use some cream? Oh, I'm feeling very indecisive. Okay, I did that with the cream. So yes, let's use the cream again. Okay, let me set these products aside so I don't lose track of them, because my desk is becoming a huge mess already. Okay, here is the rest of that cream that we used for the words. That is just about long enough to get one row of people. So let's go ahead and do that. Bring back my tape. I know I had it taped for the other die. Have to get a fresh piece because I put that behind me. Okay. I definitely want to use the shim with this one because it has a lot of nooks and crannies to the die. I want it to cut very, very crisply. I'm probably going to want 2 of those in total so that it will go all the way across. Or I could cut it up and put it near, ooh, that's kind of an interesting idea. Okay, so it cuts off just at the top, and you're left with the silhouette that you can cut to any length you want. And I have used this die multiple times. I really like it. I could cut these, oh, what is that? There was some other color left in my die from last time. I could cut this in a straight line to give my bottom edge, and then I could cut a part in between people to make little elements to add to different sections. Or I could make a border for the bottom. I think I want to go this way because I don't want to stick all their hands and fingers through there. And just for future reference, this comes somewhere between the 4 and the 5 on this trimmer. I think that's metric there. Is it a little crooked? Probably. Could I? See, we still have all of that black to do. I really want to see what this looks like if I cut it. Like, here is a place I could cut it in between 2 people. Don't want to cut that hand, but I could do something like that. And then possibly, let me make this shorter. Trying to figure out how to make this not look crooked because we have uneven edges up here. So where is the straight line of this piece? I don't know. Okay, well, I think that is straight-ish, but I'm going to cover up that bottom line with this. Oh, I'm liking this. And I think what else we need is a bigger star to add behind these things. So I think I will use this exit stage right for drawing into this scene. And then maybe I won't use nailed it because I can just make a diagonal line of embellishments and not do my typical visual triangle. So I can use this longer piece to create a bigger embellishment zone down here. Where can I cut that's not awkward? Because this arm and this head are attached. Maybe I can cut right after that head or cut right after this arm. Let's try the arm first. And then we can cut it shorter if I want it shorter. I definitely want it right up to the edge of the arm because this is making an awkward angle. But I also don't want to cut off the fingers. It's so complicated. I would use the scissors, but I know I would get a crooked line. But we can just unfold. That looks okay. Then I need to cut this down shorter also to go under. See, that's still way too big. Okay, still too big. If I cut right at the edge of this person's arm, that will give me an even shorter section. And I don't, you know what, because it's going to be hidden under my sentiment, I can cut it at an angle. And that looks like the arm just keeps going down. Maybe I want to cut this other side at an angle too, actually. Okay, I think I just discovered something about this die. It still needs to be shorter. Okay. You get to watch me trim and trim and trim and trim until I get it where I want it to be. How exciting. I knew scrapbooking live would be awkward, but here we go with the awkwardness. Okay, I like that. I like that, I like that. Okay, now I would like to add some stars, and I can do that with another die. These are all of the basic dies that I keep right next to me. So I have circles, I have alphas, and somewhere in here I have a set of stars. There's hearts, there's banners, other circles, there's my stars. All right. Now, do I want to do my stars from vellum to keep the vellum look going? Is that too big? Ooh, that might be too big. And the next one down might be too small. Oh, no, no, I like that. That's a good size. Okay, let's use this one. That's why having nested shapes is a good thing, because then you get different sizes that work for different projects. Now, I was thinking about the vellum, which I put behind me. Let's go ahead and try it out of vellum and see what I think. I might want something more opaque than this, especially since I've got the vellum with my curtain. I'm worried this might detract from the curtain, so I can always save these vellum stars in my supplies if I don't use it on this, and I will have a star for some other project in the future. Probably don't need the extra shem actually for just cutting a basic star shape. This should be fine. And then I do have enough vellum to cut another one. Let's see. Yep, cut through just fine. My tape is holding it in place though. So that's the idea there. Oh, I think it's gonna work, and it'll look different on top of the black when we get our black in place. So I think that'll work. Let's see how I can get one more star. I am gonna try and make the most of this paper, even though it's very close. That'll work. And I have a bin right next to me of little leftovers like this that I give to various kids programs. Like there's an art program in the town nearby that takes a lot of this kind of stuff for collaging. So I just put that kind of stuff in that bin, and then that won't go to waste either because kids will be able to use it in some art projects. And this one too can go in the donation bin. Let me move some things out of the way so I don't have a disaster on my table. I will keep the stars close by because I may want to do more of those. So I will go ahead and set these. And yes, that section of stuff is a disaster. I'll just push it so you don't have to look at it. I could look at it and clean it up later. How are we doing on time? We're getting to that hour-and-a-half mark, which is what I aim for. But I don't know that my product is dry yet. Let's take another look. We can maybe, it still looks wet. If I give it a touch, yep, I can still feel that it's wet. So that is definitely not dry yet. I would like to get the edges at least cleaned up so that we can get the layers on there so you can see what we're going for. But I am going to stop at the hour-and-a-half mark, so that will give us until 5:30 my time, sorry, 5:30 Pacific my time, to finish this up. Okay, let me go ahead and glue my embellishments together. And my glue is right there, right. Oh, I was thinking about popping these up with some foam dots. Do I want to do that? Let's try it. Okay, I'm going to use my handy dandy tweezers for this. I want to make sure that my foam dots kind of sit at the top of my sentiment so that they'll overlap my little people as much as possible. And then I can make the other end just kind of sit wherever. Okay, let's take a look at that before I glue everything down. Yeah, I like it. Okay. I don't think I'm going to take these ones off just yet because I want to be able to move them around a little bit. And I'm going to do this actually on the back of a slick surface so that whatever's hanging off will be easier to remove. There we go, that looks pretty good. There's not too much hanging off back there. Okay, this will also, when I put it on top of my vellum curtain, I can add some glue behind the curtain there and allow me to glue this vellum piece onto the photo without seeing the blob of glue behind this vellum piece. So I think that's probably going to be the only place that it will get glued down, and I can set that down because there is... Okay, we do have extra lift because I forgot there is foam behind the photo, so I need to add the extra lift to this section. So as it hangs off, it'll be able to attach to that star, which then again, I can hide the glue on the star behind both where the star tucks under the photo and where this overlays the star. I can add glue to both of those points to hide it. So let me overlay, double up my foam. This one will be easier because this photo is going to sit mostly flat. So I am going to go ahead and hold that in place. It does feel like his head is getting chopped off with this line. So maybe I do want to pull this down a little bit more this way. There we go. I think that looks a little better. Then I will just add some glue there. It'll look like a blobby mess right now, but we're going to hide it. We'll pull this star down. And we can add some glue to this. Ahead and take off those foam protectors. Let me hide a little bit of glue behind my star tips as they tuck under. There we go. Because the vellum doesn't absorb the glue right away, I have some time to kind of move it to where I want it to be. And we don't know exactly where this is going to be on the full layout, but I'm going to go, how about there? Okay, and this piece again is still independent of everything because we're going to add that on top of our main black layer. Okay, get rid of some more mess and rinse and repeat with this other element. Okay, I am just going to make the decision to glue this down because we are running out of time, and in the grand scheme of life, if I have a slightly bigger or a slightly smaller border on my photo, it's not really going to matter. So sometimes you just make decisions and go. Especially since I need, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and overlap the photo with this one. And I need the other red sentiment. I still need to do my title. Okay, this layout is definitely taking me a lot longer than it has. Other layouts have taken me in the past. And I feel like I have misplaced my other word strip. I'm sure you saw it go missing underneath something. It's not hiding there. Let me start moving and putting some things away to see where it went hiding on me. I can put that away. Okay, I am lifting all the layers. Still haven't found it. Could it be under? Nope, it's not under my foam. I'm looking on the floor. Okay. Oh, wait, did I sweep it off? And some of, oh, wait. Cue the applause. It was upside down and I thought it was garbage on my table and I swept it off the edge with all the other garbage. That is no good. Okay, I did want some foam on top of this one. But just a single layer, we don't have to worry about it too much. It's just gonna give it some lift as an embellishment. Oh, here, let's stick that extra one on there. See if I can be a little faster with the boring bits. Okay, this photo is gonna sit down here. More like that. The star is going to be on top. And then, oh, that's upside down. We're going to put this off to this side. Is that? Nope, that's how I want it. Okay, and then that still has foam exposed, so I can attach it to the star. But I don't want to attach it here because it'll hit the paper that I don't want to use. So what I'm going to do is, in my little trash bin, I have the release paper from my foam roll. I can just go ahead and set it on there, and that'll keep it, well, if it'll stick to the release paper, that should keep it from sticking to anything else it's not supposed to stick to. And I can work on my title. And because we're getting down to the wire with time, in fact, I've got 2 minutes. I am just going to do the title Queens. Let me, okay, I really wanted to get this trimmed. And this is probably a very bad idea. Oh, no, see, it's still wet. Dang. Okay, well, doing paste on Alive is not the best idea because it is still not dry. And I really don't have a good way to trim it without smudging everything. And I don't really want to start setting pieces down on top because this is starting to get layered and then it won't fit through the trimmer very well, and I want to be careful about where things are meeting the edges. So we are going to start looking at it like that with the border all the way around. This star, actually, I can attach to this photo because I can hide the glue underneath our people up here. Just little dots. That's all it'll take to attach it to the photo. Photos absorb things very quickly because they're made to absorb printing ink. So I can just put little dots of glue and go ahead and get it to attach like that. Although I want to angle this photo a little bit, so that's okay if it's angled. That's fine. So we're gonna go like that. I will get my title up here. Probably what I'm gonna do is go ahead and put my title on a bit of a banner. Cut that out. Now I'm just going to make this big straight piece, and I will probably use, I wonder if I have some red letters, because that would make make another pop of red on the layout. I'm tempted to take a look even though we're right at time. This is how I store my alphas. These are just like shoe storage systems, and I find that they're nice and long for storing long products. And I have them in here by color, so I have to get through the pinks and find. I have this red, which might work. I have something that's cream and red. And then that's kind of the end. I don't use a lot of red, so that doesn't surprise me that that's the end of that. Let me think about, kind of like the idea of this cream and red, but I don't know if I have all the right letters. And there's no uppercase. This is all lowercase. So spelling the word queens would look a little awkward in lowercase. So yeah, this has uppercase in it. I'm gonna go with this. And then I can trim this down. Q. Q. U. E. These are definitely not very sticky, so I'm not worried about getting them straight right now, because I can do that later off camera. And yes. Oh, I had plenty of these red letters. Those are Pink Fresh products, so I've probably had those around for a while without having used them, because like I said, I don't use a lot of red. So this is gonna sit up here something like that, and I can trim this down a little bit. I'm gonna leave extra on this end so I can possibly tuck it, but I can get the height about where I want it and center the letters on the vellum. And again, I will leave extra on this end and then just kind of cut it off where I want it to be. Oh, friends, I really, really, really want to cut this paper. Okay, I know we're at 5:34 my time, but I tell you, I am going to do it. I'm going to do it because I am impatient, and I will probably regret this, but I'm going to cut a 1/2 inch off. And that is probably going to muck up my blade, but I am impatient. And it is so close to dry. It is so close. Make sure I don't cut off more than I need to. Okay, a lot of this side sounds dry. I can hear the blade sliding through the paste, and it sounds dry because I can hear a snap to it and not just a kind of a gummy sound. If that makes any sense at all, probably does not. My blade looks okay. I will change that out later if I need to. Okay, we're at least going to get a look of what the idea of this whole layout is, and then I will finish it off camera and take some pictures and post them up both on my YouTube channel and on Instagram. So if you follow me, if you want to follow me on Instagram, it is Crafty Soup Pics, Pics, on Instagram. And I don't post a lot over there, but I will get this up over there. I'm just going to make sure that I've got that base of glue, and then make sure I get each corner. And that should be enough glue. I'm just trying to press down in the parts that don't have any paste so that I can get a base of adhesion. Okay, so there you go. How is that looking? Ooh, you get the shine right there. Okay, I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it. Even though it took quite a while. And we're going to cover up quite a bit of it, so I think we're still good. Okay, so I'm going to put that one there, and that one there. There are two things happening. This curtain is kind of pointing towards her, and then I like to, if I've got one section overhanging on one side, I want to overhang a little bit on the other side as well. We're going to get our title tucked up here somewhere, maybe like that. And I'll probably cut that right off at the edge. And then I will put, maybe I will hide some journaling. So I think what I will do is attach this mat just around the borders. In fact, let me go ahead and do that now, and then that will leave me a little pocket that I can add some journaling behind later. And I'm going to put plenty of glue. I'm going to go ahead and leave that there, so that will attach that vellum piece. I need to come far enough over so that my star fits. Okay, and then do I want this under or over? I think I'll go ahead and go over. And because I've got so much going on right now, I am going to use some magnets. And then I will let that finish drying 100%. And then I will take some pictures. Let me go ahead and come back to my face. It looks great. Thank you, Lynn. Lynn is also always losing stuff on her table. I do it all the time. Let me come back to me. There we go. I am back, and you can see the mess of me stacking things in my background to try and keep my table clear. So that is our mystery box makes for this month. I like how it came out. That stencil, the pattern is a little bigger than when we cover up portions of that big pattern, you kind of lose some of the shape. So I think that was maybe not the most ideal, but it is very pretty. I like the shine that it's giving. And so I think we had another successful layout this time around. We are over time. That wraps it up. I'm ready for some dinner in my time zone, so I'm going to go do that. I want to thank you so much for being here, and Lynn, definitely thank you for being here with me live and hanging in there for the whole hour and a half. And if you're watching on replay, go ahead and leave me a comment. I love to read your comments. Tell me, do you like to work with vellum? Do you like to work with paste? Do you lose things on your desk all the time? Go ahead and drop me a comment, because I love to hear from you guys. And my next live stream is scheduled for the next week, but Friday instead of Wednesday is my next live stream. And that one is more of a planned project, and it is a card project. So if you want to join me for some card making, I will be back at 4 p.m. Pacific next Friday, and I wish I had that date right in front of me, but I do not. And if you're watching this on replay, it could be any time in the future. So next Friday may not make a whole lot of sense. That is it for me tonight. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. And as I like to wrap up, I say have an artful day.